Joining us now are two Senate newcomers just elected in November, Democrat Chris Coons of Delaware and Republican Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. Senators, good morning to the both of you.
Good morning, Chris.
Okay, you're skipping your 4th of July break in an effort to get something done here on the debt ceiling. So, Senator Johnson, I'm going to ask you the trillion-dollar question. Can something get done?
I sure think so. I think there's a growing group of, I think, Senate Republicans and House Republicans that are willing to increase the debt ceiling as long as we actually fix the problem. And the way you fix the problem, I've always felt this was a two-step process. First, we have to institute those spending caps, the fiscal discipline, before we actually start getting into the details. So, the House has proposed to cut cap and balance. Cut off the baseline the first 2 years, and then provide a statutory cap to spending to put us on a path toward a balanced budget, and then pass a balanced budget amendment. I think that's the only way we solve this long term.
Senator Coons, go ahead. I'll give you your shot.
I'm very concerned that we're not going to be able to meet America's financial obligations. And I frankly think we need to get back to work. I hope that the Republicans are going to hear us saying yes. Democrats in the Congress are willing to meet them and to make trillions of dollars in reductions to federal spending. But we need to do it in a responsible way over a decade. The next decade, we can cut $4 trillion in federal spending. We can achieve real savings. And we've had plans on the table since March to do it in a bipartisan, responsible way. It's their intransigence, their refusal to consider any increase in revenue that has really stalled the talk so far. And I'm hopeful we'll be able to move past that in this week's negotiations.
Well, Senator Coons, let me ask you while I've got you here a second. We heard Bill Plant mention it a moment ago. Would you agree to a short-term, a mini deal, let's say 6 months, just to kind of control the volatility and the uncertainty with the market?
Well, I do think that we can't afford to default on America's financial obligations. What's coming up on August 2nd, something we've been warned about for months, is the equivalent of defaulting on America's mortgage. And I would support a short-term deal if it were part of our getting to a big deal, the $4 trillion in savings that all the bipartisan deficit and debt commissions have agreed is the minimum we need to do to put a floor under our economy and to get America going again.
And Senator Johnson, are you willing to let this deadline, this August 2nd deadline pass, knowing what it could potentially do to the economy of this country? We heard a second ago in Bill Plant's piece, the economy potentially falling off the cliff. Are we willing to allow that to happen?
First of all, let me correct the record with Senator Coons. The Democrats have had no plan on the table other than the president's budget that lost 0 to 97. If they've got a plan, they haven't shown it to us. They did not pass a budget. They haven't passed a budget in over 2 years. They should have by law passed one by April 15th. All the appropriation bills should have been passed by June 10th. None of that has happened. The only thing that has happened are sporadic negotiations behind closed doors. That's the wrong way to conduct business. But it sounds to me like we have the basis for a deal here. Senator Coons is talking about doing something over a long period of time. That's true. That's what a statutory cap bill would do. It would put us on a glide path toward balancing the budget. And then just let's send a balanced budget to the states. Let's let the people decide if they want to instill this fiscal discipline on ourselves. Let's send it to the states. Let the people decide. I'm happy to let the American people decide this issue.
Senator Coons, I got to ask you real quickly here because I've got to wrap real quickly. If you had to make one compromise for your party, what would it be?
I am willing to make significant cuts in domestic spending and entitlement reform, but we need the Republicans to meet us halfway and be willing to make reductions in Pentagon spending and tax reform that lowers rates, increases the base, and actually increases federal revenue. We've had a balanced bipartisan proposal on the table since March in front of our Budget Committee. We simply need the Republicans to hear us say yes.
All right, you guys are back to work this week. You got a lot of work to do. Still no meetings, though, scheduled with the president. That's not a great sign, but we'll see what happens. And I'm sure you'll both keep us posted, and we'll be watching. Senator Chris Coons and Ron Johnson, thank you both very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.